Alrighty, well, hey y'all, hey, it's Erica with a K, and this is Candle Making 101 Hillman Talk. Uh, this class was supposed to be on the 9th, but in the title, Life Be Lifing, and things happen, but I still wanted to make it happen. So, we are going to make the class happen today. And so we're just going to actually go through making some candles, start to finish. And I will yap about why I chose the things that I chose, and what we use it for our business. And so this should be fun. Uh, and then, depending on how class participation goes, you can help me pick the scents. We have some coloring that we could be doing. So we'll just jump right on into it. So, Hillman Talk, this is all the things that you need to make candles. Whether you are going to do it for personal use or if you're going to use it in a business sense, all of these things work because it is the act of making candles. Um, so I started in maybe like 2010 making soy candles because at that time I didn't have any kind of income. But I wanted to celebrate two of my girlfriends that both were celebrating some achievements. They had both joined sororities. And so I really didn't have anything, but I know that when most people join sororities or fraternities, they like to have a lot of things with their colors or their brand or, anything that has to do with that organization. So I was like, I know I can't buy them nothing. So what if I can make them something, personalize something for them? And so that's when I was like, okay, I love candles. Everybody loves candles. Even if you don't want to burn the candle, if it's visually appealing, you know, it'll just be like a piece of art in itself. So I was like, I'll make some candles. So one candle was, I believe it was green, and then another candle I made was blue. But I am also one that is mindful about what we have going in and out of our systems, and so I knew I wanted to use soy. So that is what I use even to this day. Soy is just, there's a lot of benefits to soy. For me, soy is easier to manipulate. It's not in a big chunk. It actually comes in flakes. So I have some here. They look like little pebbles, but that's soy. And so soy usually comes flaked up or in some kind of shape that's easier to manipulate. Other types like paraffin or beeswax, those are going to come in big blocks, and it's a little difficult to chop off what you need because you have to imagine it shrinking down in size because it's going from a solid to a liquid. Um, and so I just don't like dealing with it because sometimes if you break off too much, then you have these weird pieces. You really have to use a scale and all of that. And so not everybody has all of those resources. And I know I didn't. So I opted for soy wax because of the way that it came. I also chose soy wax because it's an American crop and it's grown here in the United States. So I want to support local farmers, and so I use soy because I know I'm kind of giving back to my ecosystem in that particular way. Soy is also cleaner. I mean, it's a part of diet, both on the skin, ingest it. There's all different ways that people take in soy. Understanding if you have a soy allergy, then obviously soy wax is not going to be the thing you want to use. You might want to use a paraffin or a beeswax or some kind of blend. But for those that don't have a sensitivity to any kind of wax, I chose soy. I just like the benefits that I know that it has for you topically. So at one point, I was making like massage candles because soy already has some good properties and benefits if applied topically. So I was like, okay, just an added benefit to it. So soy, um, also like the way that it burns. I felt like it burned cleaner. It burned smoother. Sometimes you can burn a candle and it'll burn unevenly. I felt like anytime, any kind of container I used, soy always burned cleanly, burned smoothly. You couldn't tell at the different levels that you stopped it at. It was just a really great burn. And on top of that, I think it held scent really well. So it had a really nice scent throw. So between all of those things, that's why I chose soy. Not saying soy is the end all be all. Depending on what you want to use your candles for, it may be another wax that may be good for you. But for me, I like soy. Been using soy since 2010, and I haven't had any issues yet. So that's the soy. In front of me, which you really can't see because of how everything is set up. Who knew all of this was needed to set up to record yourself hands free? But here we are. So what I have is a little camping setup, if you will. It is a hot plate, and then I have what is called the double boil method. And so this actually was a kit that I purchased on that one website that if you order it, you could get it in 2 days. Yeah. So it comes with a tin, and this is what you put your water in. You put the water in here. And then this one, take that out. This is where you put your soy in. And so it's the double boil method. Double boil. Water in this one, soy in this one. This particular kit that I purchased, they thought through the design, and so they put some little handles on each side that no matter how hot it gets, it should not get that hot. We'll talk about temperatures. But you can still pick it up by hand. So I have that going literally right here. You can't see it, but trust me, it's happening. Because what I have learned over the years is having a heated pot that's ready for the soy helps, especially if you need to make it quickly. But nonetheless, I said we would talk about soy candles, the process, answer any questions, and for any student that stays the entire time, I will provide the candles that we make in class to you just for your participation. But you got to participate, okay? And you have to be in the United States. So participate in the United States, and you are eligible to win the candles that we are going to make in class today. Alrighty. So first things first, I already cleaned this, but I did it off camera. So I want you to feel confident in the piece of art or home decor you receive for participation. So this is a cleaner, and it has bleach in it. So I'm just going to wipe the outside of my vessel. Now with my candles, I use glass. One, it fits a lot of home decor as well, so you don't have to worry about it clashing. And two, it's durable, if depending on the mail carrying service that you use and how you package it, it's pretty good. And it comes in so many shapes and sizes, and it's really good to reuse. So there's a lot, and it's, of course, the most important, it can handle heat. Okay, so it's very important that you use a vessel that can handle heat. You don't want to use paper. You don't want to use wax or plastic, because those things are going to melt at a heat point. Now, I don't use it because I've kind of gotten this down to a science over the years, and I actually couldn't find it before I hit live, so there's that. But you should have a candy thermometer to be able to check the temperature, because while the wax itself is fine at high temperatures, the scent can burn off if it gets too high. So you want to be mindful of that. And so you also want to keep it in its sweet spot of being melted enough to congeal with whatever additives you're going to add, but then also it has the availability to burn clean, smoothly, and not smell like burnt whatever when you're actually coming around to burn it for use, for pleasure. So we talked about soy. Wicks. Wicks are important because sometimes your candles fail because the wicks are not the proper size for the vessel. Sometimes candles need more than one wick because of the vessel size again. So you want to make sure that the wick size matches the vessel that it's going into. Some mishaps can look like it never fully stays lit. It always lights and then goes out. That wick is too small and it's getting swallowed up by the pool of melted wax so that it can never really catch a flame. If there are things like it's burning and you can kind of see it, that could be a sign that you have the wrong wick size for your candle. If your candle itself is not melting evenly, that's because the wick is not big enough for that vessel. So there are ways to check and see what size is needed for each kind of vessel. Over the years, I've found myself gravitating towards vessel sizes that take the same kind of wick so that I can kind of either use one in one kind of vessel or two of that same kind in the other kind of vessel, and I'll still get the burn that I'm looking for. And so for this one can kind of go either way. You could do a singular one, which is nice and clean, or you can do two. The mouth on this particular vessel is wide enough that you could fit two wicks at a nice little distance and still get a good burn. So we shall see. We shall see. So I wipe down the vessel with a spray that has bleach in it. Just want to be able to cleanse it, prepare it, make sure there isn't any debris or sometimes these are a great little hiding place for spiders and other little guys. They kind of jump in and then they can't get out because of the edges. So it's always good to kind of clean it off. Especially for me, I got mine from a store where everything costs a little bit more than $1. So you get them in bulk, you get matching, so you don't have to run around to multiple stores trying to grab the same kind. Especially if you're kind of doing this for an event or an order, it's better just to buy in bulk. They're not going to go to waste. They're always cute for a lot of different things around the home. So I love getting my glassware from that particular store. Also, in prepping your candle, you want to make sure that it's clean from any kind of branding that you're going to put on. So obviously I'm touching it. There's going to be smudges and all of that good stuff. You can wear gloves. I don't. I like touching things, so it doesn't bother me. But I will say, working with scent, it's going to leave, your fingertips will be fragrant. So just kind of keep that in mind. To wear gloves, to not wear gloves, totally up to you. I think it's easier without because especially if you're trying to push the wick into the bottom of your vessel, you want to be able to get in there good. So what I have some water going in my double boiler. I have it literally kind of on the lowest setting because I don't need any kind of heat source is going to gradually get it. So we're good on that point. So, okay, we've cleaned her off. I have safety stickers. You can get them in bulk again. So these are my little safety stickers. Of course, you can't read them, but it says warning, wax melt safety, instructions, burn within sight, Keep away from things that catch fire. Keep away from drafts, children, and pets. Only burn in a suitable container. Do not burn the candle for more than 4 hours at a time. So these are really great general candle use stickers. In a perfect world, when you're prepping your glassware, because I bought this from the store where things cost a little bit more than $1, I would have taken it off. We're not there today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my safety sticker right on top of that. Boom, boom, boom. If this was your business or you were doing it, you can take it off and clean it off perfect. Typically I do today. Just showing you what it looks like. So you got that. I am using wick sticks, which are wick stickers. So these are easier, especially because the Wilson Group, we do a lot of classes in communities. And so folks book candle making workshops, and whether we're doing it at your local library or with your youth group or a part of a date night, we're making candles. It's easier for us in our business to use the wick sticks where it's sticky on one side, sticky on the other side. And so they're the perfect circular shape that can fit, pretty much all kinds of wick sizes. This particular wick is smaller than it, so I know I can press this wick really good into the sticky part, and it'll have a good grip on it. And I'll show you that in a bit. I also have used and will use, have no problem with using melted candle sticks. For probably the first 10 years of candle making, I use these sticks, glue sticks, and they're perfect. I might have gotten this from a hobby store, or I might have gotten it from the store that costs a little bit more than $1. And the little glue gun, because you only need a little dab. But in doing classes, I think that's what it was. In doing classes, it's easier to use a wick stick than trying to detail how much of the melted glue stick needed to go on the vessel. So you can use a glue stick. It works perfectly well. I just prefer the stickers. So in the stickers, like I said, one side is totally exposed. Well, actually, that's a lie. They're on this little pack. And so once you're able to peel it off, it exposes the sticky side. And so what I did was I'm pressing the sticky side into my glass container. Really just pressing on all sides, because this is going to have a really good grip for when I pour in my warm wax mixture for my candle. So I just pulled it off of there. And so now I want it at the same distance, just across the way from the one that I previously put. Can you mark it off? Can you be extremely direct and exact? You can. You really can. But what I enjoy about making candles is the time that it takes to put something together for someone, for whatever they use and however they use it. And for that, I like to be hands-on. The very first iteration of this business was when I was a single woman. As I said, this was around undergrad or graduate school time. So it was Naturally Perfect Candle Company. That's what the business was then. And then met my husband, and then as we matriculated through life, and now husband and wife, we revamped it because I did let it sit dormant for a couple of years, but then we revamped it to the Wilson Group, and so we use candles as a means for community outreach and service to the community. So whether you want to purchase candles from us and sell them in your stores as the Wilson Group, or sell them in your stores as a private label. We've done that before. We've sold, we've made gift bags for like conferences. We've done, like I said, what we do now is a lot of more, is more community facing. So we're doing community classes. Uh, like I said, the most recent one was probably at the Y. It was a teens night, and so the teens could do like 3 or 4 different activities in the building. Obviously, the gym. There was a game room. Then there was my room, which was the candle room, and I had a whole kitchen with like 3 rows, and I just had all of these stations made, and the young people would come in. I had some volunteer adults to kind of assist, but I would walk that group through making candles, and it was the best time, and it goes extremely quickly. But that's neither here nor there. We can get into that a little bit later if folks have questions. So now we've pushed in our wick sticks. These particular wick sticks also have little tabs. I know it's going to be extremely hard to see, but there are tabs on the end. What you do is you pull that tab off, and it exposes the other sticky side. And so now all you have to do is take your wick, and this is where I try to center it in, pressing it in just like this, and getting on all of those sides. And you go on to the next one. So again, that's why I use wick sticks. They're just easier. Pull them, press them, and ready to go. And they stick, and they go right to sticking, because I know there have been times where, again, I'm teaching a class, a kid comes in at the last minute, and they're, I wanted a candle, but I was in the whatever t-shirt making class. So you gotta hurry up and put it together, and it's like the longest time that it takes is actually for the wax to melt. Oh well, no, for that wax to harden. Melting, you can kind of manipulate that depending on how high you have the heat. But to actually melt it, for it to harden, it's going to take some time, like some hours, unless you have a cooling source. So when I was doing those teen programs, I would put, I'm about to sneeze. I would put the candles in a freezer cooler that was in that kitchen, which allowed the candles to kind of hurry up the cooling process, so that because if not, they would have to leave them at the community center and pick them up the next day, and they would scare people and take them, all of that stuff. Alrighty, so we have our clean vessel, we have our safety sticker, we have our 2 wicks in there, solid distance apart from the edge and from each other, so we have some really good coverage. Now what we need to do is melt the wax. We probably should have been melting the wax when we started talking, after I talked about it. But y'all didn't know. I'm teaching y'all. So I'm about to pour into so I got that going right there. And so you'll start to hear the noise. And again, I have mine on the lowest setting, but it will take a little while to melt it. So we'll see if anyone has any questions so far about candle making. Remember, participation gets you some free candles at the end of class. If nothing more, start going into colors. So like scents, colors can be extremely infinite. So what I have here is one of those instances. And you can do any kind of color. To be honest, if someone purchases a candle and they are more concerned with the scent, then I don't typically use color, because color really takes away from what they wanted. They wanted the scent of the candle. They want to burn it. And soy has a nice color to it. It's not like a snow white, but it's not dingy either. So it has a nice cream color. So again, that's why I use the glassware. It's a really cool looking candle once it's done. Plus, you can actually see where the candle is as you burn it, which I absolutely love. Because I hate when you get candles and the outside is beautiful, but you can't see how much actual soy you have. You know, do you have more soy than candle, or do you have more candle than soy? Uh, so with a clear glass container, I know when my candle is getting low because I can see it at every stage that it's in. So again, these are preferences that I have. Now, I know I'm making candles for other people, but when I'm thinking about doing classes or doing really big group things, you have to manage the expectations of the folks participating, because if you give too many options, it becomes debilitating and you don't get through the process. So I try to manage how many scents I make available, how many colors I have available, because I don't want you to have decision paralysis. I want you to make candles. So I have black. Yes, I made black candles. I've actually done um, early on in my business, when it was the Naturally Perfect Candle Company, I was doing things like multi-layers, so 3 colors in one candle, and I would do a Rastafarian, the Rastafarian flag, and I had this scent that I had called Jamaica, and there was this restaurant store place that I met I guess an owner. I used to do a lot of like farmers markets. And so I met them and they were like, "Oh, we love these candles. I'd love to sell them at my." Okay, cool. And so I would make these candles. They were 3-tiered. I would use at that time they were in a square. You know those square glasses that they have there? Yep. That same one. I used that, and I would do a third green, a third yellow, and then the last third a deep red. Now, the benefits of making candles now versus making candles when I did in 2010 is the things that are available, uh, and the access that you have to quality things is a lot different, if you know what I mean. So, uh, now I have this really cool kit. Again, got it from the place, that online store that allows you to get things and you get it in a couple days. Yeah. And so this one, I don't, Cocoa Pen is the name of the brand on there. And so it was a box of all of these colors. I have so many colors. Um, there's reds, there's greens, there's purples, there's blues, you know, oranges. This blue is pretty. It's cobalt. This emerald is good too. Sienna. So we have some colors here. Some thoughts on colors. What color should we make this candle today? Throw it in the chat. Let me know. Let me know. You're getting a free candle made. What color would you want? Do you want it a color? Like I said, it can be a plain colored candle. I might do it both. I'll do one colored and then one non-colored to see the difference. So the candle wax going, melting itself. The kit that I got also has some spatulas which come in handy if you're impatient and you need to kind of help it along. While I was yapping, I did turn the heat up a little bit. The best is kind of set it and forget it. That's why I could kick myself for not having it going while I was explaining some of the earlier things. But being mindful, because if it gets too hot, it'll start bubbling. And then that can be, problematic, especially with the kind of heat source that I'm using right now. So I'm definitely going to kill it on the water. But if you were using a stove in your kitchen, whether it was an electric stove, if you were using a gas stove, you just have to be mindful because you are dealing with elements like the wax and the water. And so if it gets to bubbling over, which I've experienced a lot, you just turn down the heating source. Remember, at the same time, this hot water is just turning into evaporation. And so it's just a waiting game if you get too impatient. I have never seen wax boil. It has to be extremely hot, like Mars hot, or sun hot, whatever, to experience that. I don't want to experience that, so we're just going to be mindful of that. But typically, having a candy thermometer is going to be your best bet for candle making. So yeah, why don't we talk about using candy thermometers and having thermometers? So a really good burn point for soy is like 130. 130 is like the sweet spot. 130, 150, depending on the thickness and all of that. How much stuff you got in there. If you have actual things in there like umbrellas, other kind of adornments. So you want to be mindful of that. And again, when the scent again gets too hot, it could also burn off so that the finished candle doesn't have the potency that you intended, because some of it burned off because the wax was too hot as it was cooling down. Okay? A little bit of science. Just a little bit of science. So we have some candles going today. We're going to do some colored ones, and then we're going to do a clear one. Again, if your participation lets me know what kind of color you want. And just as I spoke it up, it happened. It started to overheat, bubble up. So I just turned the heat down. And even having it off at this heat, the wax is still going to melt. So we are good to go. That's perfect that it happened here. You see how that happens. If you missed it, you can watch the playback. So one candle will do, we'll dye it a color, and possibly the other candle we will not. But it's up to y'all. So we got our candles. So we talked about soy usage. We talked about wicks. We talked about wick sticks, which again are my personal favorite, but are not the end all be all. In candles, you can do wick sticks, little stickers that hold the wicks down, or you can use a glue stick and melt it down. I usually do a dollop the size of the bottom of the wick, so using enough glue there. The trick with using glue sticks is you have to make sure the glue gun gets hot enough, because there have been times where the glue wasn't hot enough. Yes, it melted, but it didn't adhere the way that it needed to do. So making sure that the glue stick is hot enough before you start using is going to be imperative. Again, that's why I use glue wick sticks, because you just stick it on, and I haven't had any issue. The only issue, I'm lying, the only issue that I have had with wick sticks is my candle wax was too hot. And of course, it just basically melted the adhesion of the wick stick and of the glue stick. So that's again why it's important to have a candy thermometer so that you can measure how hot your wax is so that you don't make some unnecessary issues happen with your candle. So we're good to go on there. We talked about safety. We talked about soy. We talked about wicks, wick sticks, uh, the purpose of using glass for your candles. So now it's just a matter of the wax melting and then picking your scent and colors. So let's start picking scent and colors. Uh, Again, scent is it's a person to person thing. So it's really easy to get a lot of stuff. And what I learned over the years of making candles is that you kind of have to help people make the decision they need to make. So while I loved all kinds of candle scents, I usually try to stay in a sweet spot. Something sweet smelling, something floral smelling, something clean smelling, and then something spicy. Covering those bases when you are offering candles to people, whether for sale or if you're doing an event, giving folks that kind of option, because again, you can have a gamillion scents. I actually have a gamillion scents sitting right next to me, and I had to make some decisions. I don't necessarily like the decisions that are here um, because I feel like they're bland. Well, not bland, but I'd have to do a lot of mixing and matching, which makes it hard for whoever gets the candle for me to say, "Oh, if you want another, just let me know." I mean, I could take the what I'm putting down, but this is just a candle making class. I have so many of these candles. That's another thing that I love. Candles are great for a lot of different things. Heat source, lighting source, mental health, support. And what I mean by that is you don't necessarily have to make a candle that smells, really, really like lavendery. Well, lavender is good too, but just thinking of essential oils. Essential oils are ways that you can scent candles that make them have aromatherapy elements to them. So it's more than just a beautiful smelling candle. It is also a candle that provides some benefits to it. Again, for me, if I am going to make candles for purchase, you want to make sure that the end user can actually afford it. So I try to stay away from making candles with essential oils because essential oils in themselves are expensive. And what I mean by expensive is a bottle this size, which is 4 ounces of lavender, of real essential oil lavender, would probably be like $60. This is probably 19. So that's what I mean. And 60 is being extremely generous. So essential oils are expensive. Do they elevate your candle? Yes. Are you able to charge more because of the ingredients that you are using? Yes. Can you actually say that your candles are clean or they're clear? They're clean or they have no added whatever to it when you use essential oils? Absolutely. But they are expensive. And so if you're going to use them, you either have to price folks, make people jump to pay a candle price, or you're going to have to eat that cost somewhere else. Or is it just the love of making candles? I don't know. Because using essential oil in a candle this size, which is, I would want to say 10 to 12 ounces. Obviously, if you fill it all the way up, it'll probably be 12. Or what did I say, 12? Or I want to say 8. I think this is about 8. I would never recommend you fill it all the way up to the top, even though the way that it is shaped, um, because it's just not safe. Again, assuming everybody's adult, there's no children, there's no pets running around, you can bump into something and mess up something. So I would never do it all the way to the brim. You want to give it at least an inch from the top. That allows you to kind of have the upper hand if you need to blow it out really quickly. Also, you really just don't want to have it spilling out over the top. It don't make sense. Don't be greedy. So, we are getting there. We're probably about 90% way melted with this wax. Again, you know it's right here, but the way this setup is with trying to go live and having some backlight, it was a lot of stuff going on, so you don't get what you get. You gotta believe me. But I'm stirring these last little clumps up now. So you have the melting point, and then you have the window that you want to scent it in. And especially if you're going to be adding additives. I don't add any additives other than color or scent. Other additives could be like sparkles, glitter, or umbrellas, or I don't know, just a whole bunch of crazy stuff that you can see in candles. Little chairs, or people making whole like living room design. Like there's so many things that you can put in candles. Also, additives that make them last longer if you believe that they're probably going to be on the shelf for a while. Again, I don't use any of those things. I think I'm lucky enough to make a candle that people want to burn, and so they do. And even if they don't want to burn it, the passive burning, so that could be putting it on a coffee warmer or putting it in a windowsill, still allows it to burn to some degree. And then once folks see that, then they're like, well, shoot, I might as well melt it then. It already smells good. You're welcome. So good. Now that we have the candle all melted, I am going to make some decisions with you. So we have black currant. We have citrus and basil. I got 2 of those, so I must have want to get rid of those. Some orange. Now this does say essential oil, so if we throw some orange in there, know that it is essential oil orange. So do we want to go like the healthy route and make something cute like that, or do we want to make something that's beautiful? Fresh linen. This is a part of one of my most popular duos. Let's see. Citronella. I don't know why I pulled out citronella, but I did. But I also have a ton of scents at my feet. We can play around with what's in there. You also have to forgive my background. I'm in my basement. In just one of our little office rooms. So there's all kinds of stuff hanging up. But colors. What kind of colors what color do we want this candle to be? Reds, greens, purples, yellows, orange. Put it in the chat. I have it, or I can make it. So we'll do that, and then we'll also do some figure out a scent. Let's see. Peppermint. Oh, this is essential oil. What am I doing with all this essential oil? Elements of bamboo. Okay, I know this is essential oil. This is some lemon. Fresh cut grass. Why do I have a scent called fresh cut grass? Because that's how it gets away from you. You start picking up things, you start experimenting, you start thinking about what other folks would want to smell, and then you just end up with a container full of scents that you either will or will not use. And so, while I'm not trying to make a candle of scents that I don't want to get it to you, It's gonna be a hodgepodge. I will tell you that. Uh, this says one night stand. That's the smell. That's probably gonna be my base. Cool water. Wonderful. Masculine type. Yeah, we're definitely not going to use the fresh cut grass. This is probably a concoction of something that smells fire, and I was not wise enough to put a label on it, or I was, and the label rubbed off. That's what I'm going with. Label rubbed off. So all in all, we don't know what's in here. This is one that is also experiencing that kind of tragedy, so we don't know what's in there. This one has a label that is fading. So, let's see. We can make some shake. Ooh, that's good. Yeah, so that's gonna be a base. So that's gonna be really, really cool. The candles that we'll make today, the scents are just going to be hodgepodges of things that smell really, really good. And we're gonna make something really, really grand. So our candle wax is all the way melted, and we're actually ready to go. So, seeing no color selection, I think this light cyan could be the wave. Vanilla good, I agree. So this will be the color that we will use. Which order? That's a really good question. It really doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. Because you want to be thorough either way it goes. And you want to make sure everything is incorporated well. And it's really hard to know what well looks like while it's in its liquid form. So you kind of have to just really take some time with understanding and playing around with your wax, the wax that you want to use, to know how it operates at different stages, especially if you want to go into candle making as a business venture. I would also do more research on pour temperatures and things of that nature, and there's some really good resources that I'll provide that really lets you know how to make quality candles, because we've all had some really whack candles. You've gotten them as gifts in Valentine's or birthday baskets, and while the idea made sense, the candle quality itself was not there. And then also some candles are meant more for light, but they just have a visual aspect to them. So you think of candles that may be used in religious settings. They're not necessarily used as like a smelling, because most of the time they don't have a smell. The color is the most important aspect of them. And the use of them is the most important thing. So when you're trying to make scented candles, I just again find that soy works a lot better for the end product that I want to offer. But again, when you start to add additives like color, you really have to mix and incorporate them well, because while what looks like a solid color as a liquid will show imperfections of things that had not been fully melted in the solid form. Is it ruined? Absolutely not. Will it be jazzy? Could be. But I know if there is a particular look that you're going for, you're going to want to make sure that it's incorporated. So that's knowing how long and how high to have the wax heat, and how long the process goes. Again, I'm rambling to make this long, but it shouldn't really take that long. Again, the longest it takes is the wax melting. And because I did it out of order, we really had to wait for all of the things to heat up and not overheat. So, wax is fully melted. I'm going to do, I thought I had a different color, but I guess I didn't. Steel blue. It's steel blue. I don't feel like this is the color I originally had, but I'm also not seeing it, so can't cry with spilt milk. Oh, here it is. Like, light cyan. I think that's going to be a really pretty color. So, this particular package that I have, they come in chips, which I like, but it also makes giving a recipe difficult because you don't know what you're going to get out of here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of substance, and I have a little speck of a piece that failed. I feel like if I move this, it's going to be something stupid. So if something stupid happens, know that I foreshadowed. There you go. You see the colors? Boom. Alrighty. See? Told you. Alrighty. So now we got those specks in there. And because it's already warm enough, mixing is a breeze. And this is going to be one of those colors where it can look extremely flat, but I also see pieces of the color specks still floating about. So I've got a really good mixture going, but I'm just going to let it go over a little over that heat. Actually turn it down a little bit. Because again, you don't want it to start bubbling up. It doesn't need to get that hot. So this particular candle with this color of light cyan, I'm thinking this one night stand might be the way forward. No. This no name bottle is going to be the one for it. So that's going to be our scent. And I might actually want to add some more color to it because again, it's really hard to tell color with wax. You won't know the final product until it's done solid. Because again, the color that it is liquid is not going to be what it looks like solid. Because this is what the solid color is going to look like. In here, it looks like algae green. It definitely gives that kind of green. I'm not messing with the setup, so y'all just gonna have to trust and believe me. You'll see the final product. And if you participate in the class, you could actually get the candle. So keep that in mind. So we have this light cyan color going, melting down. One thing you can also do to get an idea, white paper is going to be better. I'm not even going to show you the wrong way. Get something white. Let a little bit of that drip on there. And as it begins to dry, you will kind of see what the end color could be like. This setup is not the best, so you're going to have to imagine it. But if you have all of your candle materials in front of you, it's going to be easy peasy. So, what's going on, y'all? What's going on? Shout out to y'all that's been in class from top to bottom. Appreciate you very much for sticking out with Candle Making 101. Soleil, Shay Shay, and Judy. We're going to call you BT. You've been holding down class from the very beginning. Marcus, I see you. So shout out to y'all for joining the class, showing love up in the top. Appreciate that very much. This candle making class has been super, super fun. It's been fun for me just to be able to do this, having the setup. This setup, if you could see what's in front of me, you'd be like, wow, this is a mess. And it is. I've been holding off on sipping wine, but getting thirsty running my mouth. So now that we have the wax already melted down, we have the color incorporated. What I always say is, if you can cook, you can make candles. It's basically just mining something that's melting. Think of butter without it boiling over, adding some things to it, pouring it, and calling it a day. So I did 2 cupfuls of this little tin cup. I have all of the measurements written down. But 2 cups of this is going to get you at least, it's going to give you more than 8 ounces. So you kind of have to eyeball the last little bit so that you don't over pour them. Unless you're going to have them side by side, you can kind of eyeball it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this soy, and that's too much soy, into my other little holder, because I know this is not going to fill up one of these. And so let's start the process. So the thing is, because we're using a little bit of this and a little bit of that, Sammy, we're using a little bit of One Night Stand. Oh no, we're not. Sorry. We're using a no name something. It rubbed off, but it smells beautiful. Oh yeah, that smells gorgeous. It's giving really tropical vibes. So this candle's gonna have a tropical vibe, which is perfect because this light cyan color is a green. So think about a little place out on the water. So this is going to go together beautifully visually. But again, this is not going to fill up this glass container. So this color is going to be this scent. And once it's gone, it's gone. Because I don't know what it is, y'all. And the company that I got it from is no longer around. So it says that it's grade A, which is good because that's what we want for fragrances like candles and body sprays and stuff like that. Potpourri, candles, room sprays, not body sprays, I'm sorry, room sprays. And so that's what this is. The most I can make off of here is, it looks like spice or space, I don't know. But like I said, this store is no longer around. The sign of this, the label, is smudging off. I don't know if you can see it, put it in the comments, because I can't. So that's what this first color is going to be. So that's all we really have to do. The candle's wax, the wax is melted. We have the color added in. It's already incorporated. We're going to add in this scent. All I did was pour it all the way in. Nothing special. I did not measure because, again, this is just a little frick, a little frack, a little this, a little that. Now, I'm mixing it around. Why am I mixing it around? Because sometimes your fragrance oils are just like that. They're oils. So you need to incorporate it throughout the candle, the soy. And so it's not going to be like an oil type of mixture that doesn't incorporate, because again, this is not water. They're going to mix together. The soy is like a type of oil, and then the fragrance oil is a type of oil. So that's why you want to have a little mixer. Have I mixed candles by whipping it like I was a chef or with a wok? Absolutely. Is that the best method? No, because that just moves it around. Unless you have a really good swirl to it. The swirl is good, but doing it like a chef is not good. using a spatula or some kind of spoon is best. So it's all incorporated. Again, it does not take long. It's already melted. It's in the form that it needs to be. And another reason that I like this kit that I got from that one place online that things get to you in 2 days. It has handles. And it has a spout on both sides. So whether you're a lefty or you're right-handed like me, you can just pour it. Oh, that smells so good. Whoever's going to get this candle, you are so going to love it. And if you don't love it, give it to someone else. But that smells so good. Oh, it smells like tropical, coconutty. Oh, that smells so good. Oh, I'm so proud of that. That's going to be a winner. Alrighty. So, next thing that we need to add, after, let me show you the color. So, this is that light cyan color as it is liquid. This is what it's going to look like when it's solid. But then, again, that it all depends on how much of these little chips that you put into your melted wax. And it's easy and it's hard because you have chips, you don't know how deep or how rich the color is going to be, and how much you need to add. So again, that's going to be something that's really good for me. I like it with the candle making classes because it gives them, the young people, options. And so they're adding multiple colors, those that understand the color will know what colors to kind of put together that make it look like anything. So you have all of those good little elements, and so that's why this is perfect for making candle classes, for my candle making classes. Let's see. I was looking for, do I have it with me? Oh, I don't know what happened, but we're gonna keep it going. So this is what my wick sticks came in. It came in a pack like this. 240 sticks. So I'm going to be using some clothespins to hold my wick up. You see that? And so that's just to make sure that while the candle is, this is my little station, so it's a whole bunch of mess. Oh, this is what I was looking for. These little what are these, popsicle sticks? You can get them from any kind of like crafty place, but this came in a kit, or I got them online, but they have a hole in them already. They're made specifically for candle making, and so you just thread the wick through the popsicle stick, and so now you have something that's going to go across multitudes of sizes. Because, again, I've been making candles. I like to use these glass cubes, so it's long enough to go across a cube. As you see, it's going across this open mouth circular vessel. So that's going. And so now it's got to harden. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to melt down this other holder full of wax, and I'm going to make some decisions. Either I'm going to add it to, no, if I add it to this is going to be too much. So this is going to be the second one. And by the time I've poured both of these, at least this one should have hardened enough to me so I can decide if I want to add a top little layer of another scent, which I'm thinking about, because I feel like this, whatever I poured in there, is a tropical coconut something based, and so adding maybe a lemon on top of that, or this orange, might be a nice little balance note. One thing that we did not talk about today, oh yeah, I'm gonna add this orange essential, this is sweet orange. On top of whatever that was that I poured into it. So whoever is getting the light Sayon candle, you have a mixture of something we don't know with something that we do. And the something that we do is an essential oil, and orange has a lot of good benefits. So this will be a great candle to burn like at the top of your day, like to kind of start your day, because it's going to be bright, but it won't be too bright. Or maybe after you've cleaned, you want to throw it on because it kind of gives that bright smell like that, but it'll also be nice and warm and homey. So think about that when we do that. So this next one is supposed to be non-colored. So we'll think about if we want to keep that idea or if we want to color it, because again, I have all of these colors out. Some other things to think about when you are candle making: labels. So these labels came with some glassware that I purchased, which really make the glassware that I used were some small 2-ounce jars, like mason jars with the tops, and so these labels came in handy to label the scent name or whatever it is. In my candle making classes, I always provide a little piece of paper, a little work sheet piece of paper. What do I do this? Well, depending on the size of the class, want to make sure people walk away with a candle that belongs to them. So first thing I have the students do is write their name. Write their name on here, because this is what where their candles will dry. And so once they're dry, if your name is James, come pick up your candle. So you got that going on. This is also good if you are having people do stations. Maybe as a little backup. Go through the scent line, pick out the scents that you want, write it down. Go to the colors, pick out the color that you want. Go back to your space, start putting together your candle. So that's usually the flow that I use if I have a large group of folks, and my setup for melting and designing is limited. So some things to think about. This has no purpose today. I was going to try to use it to show the color, but because this is a khaki or craft color, it doesn't make sense. But other than that, that is candle making. What's going to happen? I'll melt this down. I will pour it into here. I guess we can pick the scent for the second one. We don't have too much cool water. So this is really like a masculine smell. So I'd be interested to using something else, because I won't have enough for the size. Let's see this bamboo. This bamboo is light. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if you're gonna like that either, friend. Ooh, now this one. Yeah, I see it. Citrus and basil. I like that. I think that's safe enough that it can go to anybody and be a nice addition to your home. Yeah. So the second candle, might be a mix of this cool water And this citrus and basil, it's giving really nice masculine vibes. And again, I'm talking masculine vibes, but at the same time, that can be good in anyone's home. No, I don't like them together. Scratch that! This candle will solely be the citrus and basil. And I have enough of it, so. Oh, yeah. We're going to citrus and basil that thing on out. Hopefully, the mail carrier is like, ooh, what is that? And that is a good point. You can mail candles. They're going to ask you, is there anything hazardous, fragile? I always say yes because it is fragile. I am dealing with glass. I also say yes because you are mixing scents, and so things can be flammable if they are melted, especially in the summertime. So I do like to let if I'm doing any kind of postal service, I do go for the option of fragile or hazardous or keeping the labels, even though it's nothing that they need to be concerned about. Again, it's a candle. It can melt. It can break. So all of those things, you just want to make sure that it gets to its desired destination in one piece. So we got all of those things going. This candle is going. It's literally about half and half. So I'm probably going to add some more soy to the top in a different color just to give it some balance once it starts to harden. The room that I'm in is actually kind of chilly. It's in the basement. So I'm sure just it being in the room alone will start to bring the temperature down once class is over. So right now, if you're hearing a noise, that's the noise of the water hot underneath in the double boiler method. For those that are just joining, this is the double boiler method where you have a pot. This is where your water goes. This is where your wax goes. It goes into this part. And as I said, this particular kit has some really cool handles on it, so it fits in there nice and snug, and so it keeps everything all together as you're boiling it. And again, I'm using a hot plate that I got from a dollar store or something to that effect. And it's just a coiled plug-in one. If you're using something that is solar powered, even better. You're saving the world a little bit more than I am. But using soy is my give back. It's my trade-off. And so that's pretty much it. And then you just let it dry. I think something very important in candle making is making sure that you don't not adjust. What's the word I'm looking for? That you don't bother the table that your candle is, so that because if it moves while it's trying to cool down, you're going to get waves. It's going to be an imperfect drying. It won't dry flat because it's been bumped up against, and so you'll have some spillage out on the sides of your container. So usually when it's poured, you kind of want to set it and forget it. Leave it alone. I'm doing a lot of movement because I'm trying to show you all, but at some point I'm not going to touch it anymore, and it will be on the process of really just drying down. So, questions, comments, concerns, thoughts about candle making? If not, what's your favorite scent for candles? Do you have a favorite kind? While you're thinking about it, throw it in the chat. Thanks for the love and folks watching the chat. Love that for me. Love that for us. Well, wonderful, wonderful. If there aren't any other questions, I will make sure I throw in any of the last minute notes about this once this live finishes doing what it does. And so we'll talk about what's in each candle, what scent we're going to call it. I might name it something after one of you all's names in here. Chelsea or Chelsea. Should we name the candle after you? We can. What about Stacy? Sifa? Should we name the candle after you? What should we name the candle? The candle that is colored in the light cyan, which is giving a like an aqua marinish kind of color. Light cyan. That's the color of the first one that we poured, and in it is the No Name. And then the top layer that we're going to do is going to have orange, sweet orange essential oils on the top. I think that's going to blend together so nicely. But I took out one of the small chips. And again, none of the chips, see, it's so small. I'm going to show it to y'all. Ooh, see, it's so small, I can't even show it to you. And all of the chips are not the same size. They're literally broken pieces of shaved color. And some pieces, again, are bigger than others. So that's what it should look like. Well, this glacier is nice too. Hey Tracy, thanks for joining. We're talking about soy candle colors. So we actually did a layer of light cyan. But looking at some other ones as well. Some glacier. This is blue steel. It almost looks like an orangey color to it. What else we have? Caribbean. So of course, these flakes are going to be more representative of what it looks like solid. Understanding if you don't mix it with anyone else. Amaya, thanks for joining. We're talking about candle colors. Now this is the nerve to be called khaki. But this is definitely giving like a neon color. But again, naming these colors is so, it's based on, I don't know. I don't know what color wheel they're using. Peach Puff is what they're calling this one. So, We're waiting on the soy in our second candle to melt down, so we're looking through all of the colors. Honeydew. Some of these are big hits because, what is that? Dusk. That's beautiful. Some gravitate towards other students more often when we do these classes. So, hey, Mrs. Keisha. Hey, Joy. We're talking about colors for the soy candle making class, Candle Making 101. It's plum. So again, what you're seeing, that's going to be the final candle color. Slate gray. Let's try this magenta. Gilberto. Light green. Sophie, hold on. Oh. Hold on just a second, y'all. Puppy girl had to use the restroom. She bumped the table. Got water on the floor. But it's not by the heating source, so we're good to go. So I'll find something better to clean that up with. Alrighty, back to colors. Gilberto, we're at amethyst. Hey, Stephanie. What's going on? We're looking at colors to do our soy candles in. How about sienna? Cobalt? We talked about this earlier. Obviously, it's hard to see. There's a lot of things fighting against me, including a dog that had to use the restroom really bad. Purple. What are you thinking, Stephanie? So this has a stupid name, but green yellow. Couldn't come up with anything better but green yellow. And it's actually just green yellow. Basic. Orange. What are you thinking, Jay? Mrs. Keisha? If I'm saying your name wrong, charge it to my head, not my heart. Dark gray. Have we already talked about this? It doesn't give dark gray. This yellow. You can't even see the label because it's so yellow. Scarlet. And of course, when I got this kit, all of them were put together in a nice little box. But of course, chartreuse. Taking them back and forth to candle making classes and young people picking up and putting them back. They got out of order and I stopped caring about trying to put them back in order. Pale green is what this is called. So yeah. So our first candle is poured. It's has its color additive. It has its scent additive, and so now it's just resting in drying back up, getting back hard. The second one, um, the way the class has been going, we said that we were going to do it with no color, so that you can see the difference between soy's pure color versus how it takes on an additive like color. So this candle will still be scented. We will still scent it. We're going to scent it in the citrus and basil fragrance that we decided on. But it won't have any color in it. It will be its natural soy color. And so we'll have the two options for, the class participant that will get these candles or one of the candles. So that's kind of where we are. Again, the longest part is the wax melting. Think of it like food. It takes a little bit. It depends on how high you have your heating source, how much you're trying to melt. And also another thing to always check is how much water you have going on. Early on in the class, I had it bubble over to show that the water does bubble over at one particular point. This is a really nice setup because this itself is deep enough, and you really just need enough water to hit the bottom of it, which is going to put it at around the midway point. But knowing that the hot steam coming off of it is still going to warm up the base. And because all of this is this metal, it warms up really, really nicely, nice and evenly because of the double boiler method. But then you have these handles that are preventing it from burning yourself. So you got those things. Hold on just a second. So she's back in from outside. We've done all of that. We talked about soy. We talked about wax. We talked about soy wax. We talked about other waxes. Maybe if there's a desire for another class, a 2.0, I'll do some candles with beeswax or paraffin wax. Kind of show the difference in that one. But that's totally up to y'all. Because I would make candles for myself. I often do. That's why my little workspace is such a mess. Because I make the candles that I burn in my house so that I don't give all of my money to Bath and Body Works. And the cool thing is, a lot of those fragrance mixes you can find out on the web. So you can get the same scent to the same degree as the ones that you buy in the store. And especially if you're not like a scent snob, where it has to be, perfectly matching what you got into the store, you can do a lot of dupes yourself. And it lasts so much longer. The scent throw on these candles, another reason why I choose soy is it lasts longer. A candle this size, even if I only do it to about halfway, is going to get you at least 45 to 60 hours. 45 to 60 hours. There are whole days where I would start the day with my candle lit and work the entire day because I work from home, and then blow it out. And so that's the benefit part for me with candle making. It's a joy to teach it to other people. It's a joy for people to receive the finished product. But for me, it's also therapeutic. I get to mix and match combos and colors. And knowing the stuff that I'm using is recyclable, because when this gets to the bottom of the wick, it'll be a nails pinch amount where you can pull it off. Wipe it down, start all over again. And again, it's easier to do it when you're using a glass because it's easier to clean. So, just something to think about. Something to think about. Again, glass works for me. Could you use other things? Like a lot of people like to do reuse things. I don't. I don't typically want to use plastic because, again, it's a heating source. It could melt. All of those things. So you want to be careful. You want to be careful with that. The labels, again, got all of these online. And it just gives you some basic instructions that allows you to feel confident knowing that if you gift this candle away, whether for personal use or as a business source, you've at least gotten some kind of bare minimum instructions on it. When I was selling candles, more of a retail aspect, I would also have like a printed out directions card that kind of gives folks warning instructions and care instructions on how to care for candles because some folks just may not know. They never had candles or so yeah, you just never know. So I just like to cover all bases. This is about, again, 95% of the way done. There's a small amount the size of a quarter still formed, so I'm going to use my spatula, just mash it down so that it can continue to melt and incorporate with the rest of the liquid. And so after everything has completely melted, all of my little chips have melted, I let it just sit on top of the heating source a little while longer, just to make sure everything is now getting to the same temperature, because before you had varying levels because all of the little chips are trying to melt. Now that everything is melted, let it stay on that heating source a little while longer, and now this is a really great time to add in your scent. Again, in a perfect world, I would have a candy thermometer to be able to see my levels. I want to be in between that 125 to 140 point with this. Understanding that you want to turn it down when it's fully melted so that you're not actively cooking your scent. You want to turn it down a little bit. So again, we're going to use this citrus and basil fragrance. This came from thesage.com. I don't know if they're still around, but it's out of Utah. Oh, is it out of Utah? Yeah, they're out of Utah. Nibley, Utah. And I probably got this off of someone else that was trying to downsize some stuff. I personally like to shop at a couple different places. I always want to buy, when I'm buying things to make candles to sell in retail, I always want to shop small first. And so when I do that, I shop locally here in St. Louis at a place called Missouri Candle and Wax. I know you can't. There we go. So this black currant came from them. All of their information. And so they are a candle making store. So a nice portion of their business, I do believe, is providing candles to religious places like churches, like prayer candles. So I think a lot of their business is that. But because of that, they also have the more retail side where you can go in and you can get a lot of the things you need. Everything from double boiling method, your wax. They have all of the kinds of wax there. They have beeswax, they have paraffin, they have blends. I do soy. I typically like to get my soy in bulk from other places, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But if I'm in a pinch, I can get it in bulk there at Missouri Candle and Wax. A couple other places that I've used that I like to use is Lone Star and Candle Science. Candle Science has really, really stepped up their offerings. since I've started making candles in 2010, because they do a lot of training. Like they have training videos. Um, they have charts on how to pick your wick, how much scent goes into a candle. If you've noticed, I've just been pouring until the ancestors say otherwise. Uh, but this is just for this particular class. If I was going to make a candle to sell to people, I do use my recipes that have actual measurements. Uh, but this is just a little bit of love. Think of it as uh, a pour at your favorite hood bar or your favorite Cheers. So that is something to keep in mind. But if you're making candles to sell to people, measuring is going to be your best bet, because you don't want to overuse, because then you start to mess up your money, because you're going through so much of your materials because you're not actually measuring out how much wax, how much scent, how much color. Again, the Wilson Group, we use our candle making as a way to build community. So we do workshops. So in the workshops, it's more free for all. So that's why this is a little easier. Another way that scents come, you can get them in the liquid form. And so you have to deal with droplets. And so it's up to the individual making it how much they do, because, again, it's going to be kind of hard to tell, because in the liquid form, it's going to have one hue, but then in its solid form, it's going to have another hue. So for me, chips are a lot cleaner. If somebody drops this, the probability of it being open enough for all of the chips to fall out is going to be small, versus if someone drops a dropper of liquid, that could be a little bit different, hence the water that fell. So all of that, we poured our scent in. I had already turned off the heating source, so right now it's not actively warm, it's just still warm from being on, because again, I don't want to overcook anything. We have our candle. This little rag was sprayed with a cleaning spray that had bleach in it. And usually, before I ship them out, I wipe them down again, because, again, you're touching them. I don't use gloves, but I also don't want it to look like a bad kid was touching on it. So we have our wicks in there. They've been sticking in there for the longest. Now we're just going to pour. And again, we have our little holder. Cool to the touch. And this one we did not color at all. This is the natural color of this soy, which I think is going to marry really well with the scent that we chose, which was citrus and basil. You can add it before, you can add it after. Obviously, I'm adding it after I poured it. But you just feed the wick through the popsicle stick that has a hole in it. And over time, yes, you're going to get wax pieces that have poured because you didn't pour straight. So that's why I like my candle making is very, very active. It's not really pristine. It's not really polished. It's real handmade. It's really done with love. It's clean. I just scratched my head, but again, everything gets wiped down before it gets shipped out. We still need to name our candle. So, for those that have been in class the entire time, let me know what we should name the candle. If not, I might pick somebody's name out of the class. Totally up to me. So, with that being said, we've poured both of our candles. Again, now we just wait for them to dry. and to congeal, which would best practice is a couple hours, but I like to do it overnight just to make sure it completely hardens and gets back down to room temperature or even, cooler depending on where you have it stored. Um, does it does anything happen to it if you put it into a fridge? No. I've done it. Like as soon as I poured it and walked it straight up to the fridge. I've done it that way. I've poured it, let it sit for an hour, and then finished it off in the refrigerator. I've done a lot of different things for it, but again, that also depends on the kind of materials you use. I use glassware, so glassware can hold up in hot to cold temperatures. Think of taking it from the fridge and putting it in the oven. Obviously, it's not going to be that hot, but that is, the durability of using glass. And again, I'm not doing anything special. I get it in bulk online, whether from the store that everything costs a little bit more than $1, or whether you get it on that one website that gets it to you in 2 days. Either way, I like to buy in bulk because, again, you can use them in a lot of different ways. You can use it for makeup, you can make it to tidy up your desk, for pens, whatever you use it for. Uh, and after the person uses the candle, you have all of these additional options of how they can use it. So, this has been Candle Making 101. I've been Erica with a K, your chandelier for today. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll make sure that we make this class video available to you, as well as providing any links to any of the stores that I mentioned if you choose to make some candles yourself. If you have any questions, feel free to throw it in the chat or holler at us. Make sure you follow us and subscribe to all of our channels. Thanks so much. Enjoy, you guys.